Morning. So I'm going to talk about design for change, the theme of the event itself. I totally believe that it is the era of design for change. It is the era where design is going to lead, and it is the era that will be remembered by our grandchildren when design changed what we thought existed. So I'll start with where I'm coming from. As she said, I'm an engineer in bit of electronics, bit of computer science. And then I decided to pursue design, and that's connected to my engineering. It's interaction design. So taking a design look at the same things that I was doing during engineering, developing products, but from a design side. So I'll start with explaining what is design, what is the interpretation that I have of design, and then see why is it for change. So design actually comes from the creative family. It comes from the same family where art exists, where philosophy exists, where literature exists, where music exists. It's sort of an egg that sits in alongside all these eggs that are there in the creative family, and it's an egg that's going to hatch only when you give it the warmth of your body, only when you give it some part of yourself, only when you give it your love. So the first thing about design is actually love. You give it your love, it becomes a shadow of yourself, and that's how you connect to it as a designer. So love actually goes through all the creative fields, actually, all of the creative families. It's part of yourself. If you take up, say, art or music, it's something that goes to the audience, and the audience interprets it. It's something that me as an audience, if I'm listening to something, I interpret it in my own experiences, in my own context, and figure out what's the beauty of it. But design is a bit different. It isn't supposed to be interpreted. It's exactly, in fact, opposite of it. If there's a design, it works for you, and there's only one single way it works for you. So there's not interpretation involved, and that's how it differs from its brothers and sisters in the creative family. But why is that difference? The difference is because design is supposed to be functional. So it's sitting there, it's something that comes out of your love, but it's functional as well. So it serves its purpose in the best way possible, and that's what it's supposed to do. So it's supposed to be efficient. There's like this particular task, a designer does that task, solves that sort of task in the most efficient way possible. There's logic behind it, there's sort of understanding behind it, there's education behind it. So it's solved in the most efficient way possible, and that's how you appreciate it. But then that's what technology is supposed to do as well, solve a task in the most efficient, most best way possible. There's one solution to the one question. There's no multiple answers. So how does design differ from technology? And then comes the context. So design is very contextual. There's design, and there's tasks that needs to be solved in the most efficient manner, but it's contextual. So technology might be doing the absolute right thing that you want it to do, but then design tells it where should it do that absolutely right thing. So that's a context, and context always changes. It's a continuous change. Whether you see it in space, where you change the demographics, where you change the geography, context changes. If you see it in time, you travel back in time, context changes. If you travel future in time, the context changes. So design is very contextual. And that's the beauty of it. That keeps it really free in what you are doing. Since it's contextual, and since contextual is a continuum, so design is never the best solution ever. It's always the better solution. So if you're a designer, you're solving some problem, you will have a better solution to what already existed, but it will never be best. So you as a designer always have a freedom to going one step ahead, or somebody else as a designer has the freedom of going that one step ahead and having a better solution. And that's where the beauty of design comes in. It's transparent. There's a very common understanding in design that good design is transparent. You will never ever actually notice good design. It's so subtly embedded in the whole system that to appreciate it, you have to really observe it. So bad design is something that you'll always notice. You'll always crib about, whether it's software, whether it's life, whether it's anywhere. You'll always crib about why is it doing this thing so stupidly? But you'll find it hard to notice why is it doing such things so beautifully. It's so transparent that you'll never know. So what is design? So good design. So design is a transparent, like really subtle solution which provides a better answer to the questions already asked in the context, in an efficient manner, which is functional and which comes out of your love. So that's what design is. But why is it for change? And that's the theme. That's what we are supposed to think today. So there are three aspects of it. I'll go through them one by one. So first one is innovation. So as I was telling you, design is efficient is a keyword in one of the characteristics of design. But how? So design actually is interpreted in quite different manner from different people. Many of the understanding is that design is a problem solver, but it isn't. It actually isn't. It is a problem finder. Technology is the problem solver. So as a designer, you understand the user, you empathize with the user, you put in your love, and you share the user's love. And when you become the user, you find the problems. And when you find the right problems, the easy part is to find the right solutions. And technology, with its capability, provides those right solutions. So the whole process of being the user to providing the solution, that's where the innovation lies. So you innovate through the process, and technology helps you convert that innovation into invention, where it actually works. So that's where design is for change. Second part is fulfillment. And how does that work? So design is about love. Design is actually about understanding the user. And the fulfillment in the whole process is when your user, or you yourself, when you become the user, when you yourself become happy. So your task or your solution, whatever the problem is, the final solution is always your own happiness. And you are the user, so it's user's happiness. So it's fulfillment in the manner that you're not caring about money, you're not caring about success. It might be the most loss-making business ever, but it provides the solution, which is the happiness of the user, and which gives you fulfillment as a designer. So how does this help if you're not even a designer? This is a thinking, this is design thinking that's propagating very immensely in today's age in the higher levels of leadership, in the higher levels of hierarchy of leadership, that this fulfillment is what an organization or the leader should aim for. You see organizations becoming more and more humane, more and more caring about the users, and the reason is they are connected more deeply with the users, and the reason is they are thinking from a design mind rather than a monetary mind. So that's where the fulfillment comes in, and that's where it creates that change, where you see a more happier life in general, because companies, organizations start caring for you from your own view, not from the money point of view. And the last point, it makes you rich. Well, it doesn't. There's a different interpretation to it. So that's this keyword is like the whole sort of crux of what I'm trying to say here. It's sort of a long story, but how I interpret it is we used to have like a microsystem, dependent sort of society where we were very socially and professionally dependent on each other before industrialization came into being. Before the late 1700s, early 1800s, it was more of a smaller task which microsystems, microgroups sort of used to do together, and all of it came down to bigger tasks being solved and stuff like that. But then industrialization came into being, and processes came into being, and machines came into being. And that was the whole era of industrialization where everything started being defined in terms of what machine can do. So even if you were not a user, but it was so dominating as an era that you, as a workman, you started being defined by the machine. So you, as a human, started adopting to what machine can do. And this whole society structure where you were sort of interdependent on solving smaller tasks, bigger tasks, it started evaporating and started coming down to if you can do XYZ thing in the long process of, say, manufacturing a car or manufacturing a radio or anything. It became like that one small task and doing that perfectly. So if you see it from a human side of view, you yourself became machine, right? Machine also does its task perfectly. You as a human might not do it as perfect, but you are trying to be machine. And that's where you are disconnecting from the society, from interdependency, from your life as a whole. So as a human, your life started becoming less richer. It started becoming more alienating. You started becoming more of a independent entity which can die or live, but it's less of a care for other people. That's where sort of we started adopting ourselves for technology, and it continued. It continued for 200 years. More than that, how it changed was just that we were doing different levels of technology. We were doing, say in the industrialization age, we were developing technologies. In maybe internet age, we were users of technology as well. But the capability of technology and the whole vision of that era was that we adopt, either as a user, as a workman, whichever way, we adopt to the technology because technology is providing us solutions, and we actually want to use that solution, so we have to adopt. But now, over the last decade or so, it is changing. It is changing for good, and that is why design is for change. Because in the last decade or so, there's a definite realization that technology needs to adopt, not we. And that realization is coming into being all the products that you see in the market. The successful ones, if you start describing the successful products, you'll say they are simple, they're usable, they're awesome. You'll not have a defined word on why they are awesome. And the reason is that they are so qualitative. They are just a mix of all these things. They're so qualitative. They're so in the creative family. So much love has gone into it that they are being seen from a humane side rather than from a capability side. And that's why they start becoming so awesome. And that's how this whole circle starts getting completed, where first you adopted towards technology, now technology is coming back to you and saying, hey, you do your work perfectly, you live your life in the richer way, and I'll adopt to you. I'll be as transparent as possible, not disturb you, let you live your life. And that's where design comes for change. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.